Hello everybody, so this is just like a quick bonus video because as some of you may have gathered, I've recently given up on the idea of the Pyro update in a sense that I wanted to do some stuff talking about the Pyro update when it came out. Like there's no point talking in it when it's not out. That's at least what attitude I have. At this point I'm like, yeah, it's either never gonna be released or it's gonna be out in probably 2018, who knows. Anyways, so my predictions is that they're gonna be releasing 3 new weapons, probably for the Pyro, thereof Pyro update, probably some stock reskin weapons as well, but this is like just up to 3 new weapon, as in complete new concept, like when we had the panic attack, the quick bomb launcher, and the iron bomber. We're gonna get like 3 new weapons for the Pyro in that sense. Then we are most likely gonna get a few new taunts. Then some new maps, which is like 4 to 8 maps, and the taunts are most likely from the community, and the maps are also from the community. Then a bunch of cosmetics, potentially new cases with potential weapon skins as well. Again, probably fully from the workshop. So the only thing Valve have to do with, aside from like the 3 new weapons, which I assume like either they take some skins from the workshop for the weapons, or they make the artist craft for that. That is basically coming up with the weapon concepts and do the numbers for them. That shouldn't be too hard for them. The rest so far is community stuff, basically. So let's go on. Lots of balance changes, as we got a sneak peek of. I assume it's just like small bit of balance changes that we got a sneak peek of, else I'm gonna be very disappointed with Valve. But shouldn't be too hard either. Let's take this, like they've actually listened to the community. If they just did it in like their own secluded stuff as they usually do, this would probably take a week or some shit. But since they actually been taking community feedback, let's put it at 1 to 2 months of work. The weapons, let's be generous and say, okay, Valve have a very hard time coming up with something original, especially for like weapon concepts. That's why we don't really get that many new weapons, and they want them balanced, even though, you know, it's better to release something that's a bit too OP and then nerf it. So let's give this like some of the like they have what, a staff of 20, like 5 coders. Let's just say some of them works on the new weapon concepts, while some like 1 or 2 guys sit, like one developer, like one coder or whatever, and one game design type of guy sits down and then they do the weapon tweaks. So there's still a lot of people who aren't doing shit right now, and that's those things there. Then I assume there's gonna be some tweaks to matchmaking, even though they should have done that like a year ago. Probably some of the staff also doing that. Like all of this is like in the first 3 months that I'm thinking of. Beside when they like done with the update and started like polishing it, like for the last year, you know, after 3 months they finished like basically it, but then they have been polishing it for like a year. Anyway, it's gonna go on. Then there's gonna be changes, at least in my prediction here, changes to what unusual weapon, if like not unusual weapon, but just unusual effects in general, like when you unbox them, as in an unusual effect rotation. Valve have released a sneak peek. They may not release this, but since they did make a sneak peek of what they had in mind for that, and like explained it, how the rotation were gonna work, where I think, if I understood it correctly, it's basically like Ancient Eldritch, like my favorite effect that I have on Engineer, like aside from smoking, because that's my actual favorite effect. But this was only like available, the only hat I was okay with it on was this hoodie, or hood I guess, because anyways, that should be available on all hats given enough time, basically, if what I've read is correct. Probably only during Halloween, so maybe it's like every week during Halloween there's a new Halloween effect rotation, I don't know. May even be like you can unbox them non-Halloween if they are on rotation. I don't know. I just assume from like how I understood it. So yeah, okay. Let's just assume everybody at Valve are now occupied for like 3 months doing all of this shit. And in terms of like balance changes, we also probably have a lot of bug fixes and tweaks. Where like let's put that in now. Everybody, let's just. Some of these things may take a month for Valve, maybe like 3 months, and you may say like, oh, but they're so understaffed, and I'm like, well, I've seen people do the same kind of work for Hoppy, where they probably put in 2 hours a day, this is a squad of 5 people that I've like been following. Like one of them does some YouTube stuff, where they've basically been developing like a mod in a sense. Like it's completely new game, but it's made on a mod, like a bit like how TF2 got made at the start, where it's basically just like they make their own map for the game, and they make several like balance changes. They come up with new weapon concepts. As a sense, it's not really weapons, it's more like items that you can pick up, and then they have these effects. So it's like whole new concepts, whole new balance tweaks, and even though it's like built up on something, it's still like the same concept. And this is a hobby, they don't get money for this. Now Valve gets money for their work, I assume. And they, like, compared to like these 5 people, I know Valve have like only like 5 coders or some shit, but this team I'm talking about with 5 people have 2. And like, I guess game designer and like the one that leads the project does all the number tweaking on his own for the game thing, and that's about the same thing as I assume with like weapon tweaks. And keep in mind, Valve probably have a team of like, what was it, 20, some of them artists, some of them music, I don't know. You know, that kind of thing. Now this team is 5 people. They also have custom music for their shit. I'm just saying. So I have something where I can compare to, because I've been following this project that they have been running, I think over the past half year. And they already had something, I think, after a month or maybe 3 months, where it was like, whoa, this is actually, like, this is like, there's 3 new item concepts, there's like this whole new map, there's like all these things, and this is like pretty much all of it, in a sense, like if you get what I'm saying. Meanwhile, if we look at what Valve have here, like about 50% is the community. Like, I guess a bit of it would be that one of the guys, not even like a code or shit, needs to go through the workshop, actually sit down, spend maybe like a week, let's say a week, go through everything on the workshop that seems interesting related to what they want to do. Like, I could probably do it in a day if I just, like, if I'm bored enough and take a look at the workshop, I can go through like a subject where it's like, oh, okay, it's like 1,000 things I need to go through quickly and see. Not even like a day in that sense. It's gonna take some hours, but it's just like doing that, I guess, bit of annoying thing. But I assume one of them, it doesn't need to be the coder. And then that person stamps and picks off, like maybe takes the link to the workshop page or however they do it, and then he sends it over to the guy who codes, and then he implements it from the workshop where all the work basically is done. That's what I would assume. So what this boils down to is I'm basically giving my thing of why I think Valve is being lazy with this shit, because if people can do it as a hobby where they don't really put much work into it every day, but because there's no money in it, and Valve is like employed and they have a bigger team and they have a community doing like 50% of the work, I don't really know where this is going. But I think you guys have gotten my predictions now, and I hope there's more than that, because if what I predicted here is everything that they give us for the update, like the Pyro update, and I just don't know. It's like, what are they even getting paid for? Like, like they could legit have just people from the community working for free, not even part of Valve, developing the game for them, if that's the case. Like people who oh, I have an hour now, let me do some shit for that, and like, of course, qualified people, but still. And that would be better than what it is right now, and we would probably get updates every maybe 3rd month to 6 months instead of, what is it now, gonna be 2 years in, like, in between updates, I don't know. Anyways, this turned into a bit of a rant, but like I have some knowledge of how stuff like this would work, in sense, so that's why I'm like recently lost all respect for Valve's developing team. I mean, sure, they're passionate about the game, but a year and 3 months without actual content, and seeing like how other people with a smaller team doing it for a hobby, like doing stuff for a hobby, like developing a like complete rework of a game in terms of a mod with basically the same concepts plus more than what Valve should be doing, because the community does the other part for them, then I just don't know. It just seems like, what is Valve even doing? At least if all my predictions if there's less or the amount I predicted. So just like now that I'm done with the rant, I'm just gonna like list it again quickly. So like in case, you know, just what I actually predict. So 3 weapons, taunts, new maps, bunch of cosmetics, potentially in cases with potential weapon skin cases, probably 2 of them. Balance changes, tweaks to matchmaking, hopefully the dream of quick play returning. Changes to unusual effects that gets unboxed in terms of unusual effect rotation, and you know, just a lot of bug fixes and tweaks that they should probably have hotfixed a year ago, but they've like compiled it into the update because then it looks like more. That is what I think Valve is gonna release for the Pyro update. Probably a few changes like to Pyro as well, but that is like into the terms of tweaking with the bug fixes or balance changes, I would say. But that is what I predict. I hope Valve does more than that, because else I'm very disappointed. And I'm like, are they just sitting at the office, like at least half of them, just being like, oh yeah, I'm thinking so hard about this new weapon concept, but they're just like doing some free time work on their computer? I don't know. I'm a bit harsh with this thing, but I just feel like at this point I have a right to be. I'm not angry or anything. Like, I know I'm putting out the frustrations a bit in some of my games as well, but it's just silly at this point that Valve legit wants, like, they are lazy, they are slacking off, if my predictions is correct, and they are letting the game die. They may be passionate about the game, they may like the game, they may want it to do well, but then they should like pick up their slack and you know, release new maps monthly at least, with you know, some changes. I don't know. Anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this little bonus rant prediction thing, and hope to see you again next time.